Well, hello there, all you absolutely magnificent people, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, where we are back in Empires of the Undergrowth. And, well, this little empire of ours has been doing quite well, as you can see. Now, there are lots and lots and lots of ants here. And the reason I've got them sorted according to species is because I'm going to quickly upgrade their genetics. And I wanted to see, okay, which ants have I got the most of? As you can see, fire ants win by a massive margin, where there are 114 fire ants here. And that's because we've got 3 brood chambers here, each at level 3, so each one giving us 2 ants. And yeah, that's 38 per brood chamber. And that, of course, means we've got 114 of them. Then we've got 57 of these wood ants with our little ranged ones, the rapid fires. And then we've got 38 of our leafcutter ant mages here. And unfortunately, we went for the stun one there. I do think that the taunt would have been better, but no, I've locked in the decision there. It is stun. So let's see here. We can, of course, now upgrade some of these things. In terms of the fire ants, we can have movement speed. We've got area of effect resistance, attack damage, and piercing resistance there. The leafcutter ants, health, physical resistance, venom resistance, and attack speed. The queen, of course, also can be increased with health and then a reduction to the cooldown for royal guard there. And then the wood ants here, they will have attack damage, attack speed, range, and then their health. That we can increase. Alright, and we've got 4,789 royal jelly to spend. Now, just in case, I am going to just upgrade my queen's health a bit. Okay, just so that there's at least 100 health extra there. And then since fire ants are going to be the main attacking ones, the main DPS ones, I am going to increase the attack damage. I'm going to increase the attack damage by 15 there, so it does 0.75 extra damage per attack. That's nice. Movement speed increased by 10, so that they can run a little bit faster as well. Our leaf cutters here, I am going to give extra health. That will be great. But no physical resistance. Just a bit of venom resistance, and then a little bit of attack speed here. You know what, I don't think that venom resistance does anything, so let's just remove that. I do want them to attack a little bit faster though, so there we go. And then our wood ants, last but not least, I'm going to give them increased range, so they can actually spray their formic acid a little bit further. So that's going to be increased by 30. Attack damage, that'll be great to also increase. Attack speed, oh yes please, so the rapid fires become even more rapid. And then, I think that is all I can do there. You know what, health maybe. Yeah, I think that's going to work, that's fine. And it does mean I can give my queen a few more things there, a little bit extra health. Now we don't have any black ants, so I'm not going to be increasing that at all. Alright, so we've got 8 royal jelly left. We've spent it all. Now, let's head into the final experiment. Now, before we do that, I don't want them sorted according to species because, well, these groups are going to take forever to move around. So what I'm going to do is group 1 and 2 will each have leafcutter mages. And each of these 2 groups will also have some wood ants. So the leafcutters can hold the enemies in place and the wood ants can fire formic acid at them. Now, we don't want massive groups like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have group 3 as formic acid spraying wood ants, along with some of the fire ants. And then I'm going to have group 4 and 5, each consisting just of 1 squadron of fire ants each. So now looking at it, group 1 moves over quite quickly. It doesn't take as long for them to decide where to go. They can actually change direction quite nicely. Group 2 also. Group 3, you guys also don't have a lot. You've got 57, yeah. So that takes a little bit longer. Yeah, so dividing it into smaller groups does make them a little bit more maneuverable. Alright, everybody back into the nest, thank you. Let's then jump into the final experiment, where we are going to, of course, try to survive on medium difficulty, because that does give me a little bit of wiggle room to still survive and still manage to complete it, even while giving out some educational information. So let's jump right in, shall we?
They're about to start the Glaber trials at Site B. Are you coming?
Oh, no. Mole rat's not really my area of interest. Besides, this report won't write itself. Nose to the grindstone, shoulder to the wheel. Busy, busy, busy.
Right. Well, I'll be back in an hour then.
No need to rush. I have everything quite in hand.
Oh, you mad scientist. Let's see what you've got up to.
Unfortunately, we're still waiting on apparatus critical to the final experiment. But fate has presented us an opportunity, and this we must take. There's plenty to get started with for now. We'll need specimens, transposition canisters, towels, scalpels, glycerol, my trusty curette, and, of course, jelly.
Alright, so Mr. Scientist is up to something at the top there.
So, my enduring Raptors, we've witnessed your proficiency for resisting natural predators, but what about the unnatural?
Oh.
After all, our work with the counterparts barely scratched the surface. Even on incompatible subjects, the effects of the jelly are remarkable. It may not look very pretty, nor indeed live longer than a day, but for our purposes, it's perfect. May I present to you my most armored hybrid, the Hermit Scorpion?
Ah, there we go. Alright, so here we go. We've got a very, very, very interesting combination here. We've got a hermit crab mixed with a scorpion. And of course, you can see both of them are arthropods, meaning jointed legs. And, well, all the things we are encountering here are, in fact, arthropods. All of them have got jointed legs. With the hermit crab here, it will be living in its shell, which it is, of course, in here. But then there is also the scorpion. So there is probably a tail of the scorpion tucked into this shell. Now, the hermit crabs, when they do find a shell that they like, they will actually tuck their tail into this shell. So the tail of the hermit crab would also be in there. Now, interesting that the scientist did say that the creations that he has here will not last longer than a day. And that's because, well, amongst other things, the digestive systems of these things will not be compatible. There will be a lot of hemolymph, basically an invertebrate's blood, will be lost in the process of sewing them together like this, or gluing them together with some jelly. So, yeah, not the best idea to try and sew these things together. Now, the scorpion, of course, a very, very important carnivore, and it will have some chewing mouthparts there, whereas the hermit crab may in fact have a few more filter apparatuses attached to its mouth that it will be using to filter out food particles from the water as well, depending on which hermit crab you're looking at. Hermit crabs are a wide range of species that they can be, so it's difficult to just say, okay, well, this one is a filter feeding one. They can also, of course, be scavengers. A lot of the species are, so if there's a fish that is dead or dying, they will be swarming it and tearing it apart, or any other thing that's basically like dying, they will be going for that as well. But now mixed with a very predaceous species here, the scorpion, they will of course attack our ants. Now, interesting to note here, with these claw-like things in the front here, with the scorpion, the pincer actually evolved from mouthparts. So this would be the pedipalps of the scorpion that evolved to be these grasping things. Whereas with the hermit crabs here, and with other crabs as well, this actually evolved from the first set of legs. So the scorpion pincers evolved from the pedipalps of the mouth, and the crab's claws evolved from the first set of legs. So although they look the same and they function the same, they're actually two very different body parts that evolved to look and function the same. Alright, so let's try and take this hermit scorpion out. I do suspect we are going to have to do some damage to it, let it shed its shell, and then actually we can take it on properly. This shell, however, was not created by the crab itself. Instead, it would have found this shell somewhere and tucked its body into it. Hermit crabs don't create their own shells like this. This would be some gastropod or snail's shell. Of course, snails don't live forever, so eventually a hermit crab will stumble upon an empty shell, and then of course will tuck its body into it. But the hermit crab will grow over time, become too large for the shell that it is in, and it will then go on a quest to find a new shell. And the quest reward at the end of that quest would be a shell that is slightly larger than the one it is currently in. So it doesn't want to live in a shell that is too small for it, but it also won't go for a shell that is too big, because then it's too heavy to really carry around, and the tail will be too loose in the shell there, so it will be too easy for predators to drag the crab out of the shell. So they want a shell that is big enough for them to tuck their body into, but small enough so that they are in there securely and they can't be pulled out too easily. And that is, it's a prime real estate, this. That's for sure. Alright, but let's see, can we take it on? So let's see, we're going to have our first group, our mages, attacking. We're also going to have a second group, and then we're going to have fire ants swarming as well.
Like water on rock, the Eruptors crash against the hybrid. How many will fall? Perhaps.
Oh yeah, there we go. Climbing on top of it, of course, biting, and there we go, pincing. Ah, there we go. Right, so Of course, our wood ants here are spraying the formic acid at it. Now, the formic acid just on top of the scorpion body will probably not do anything. It is, of course, an acid, but most of these creatures will have waxy cuticles covering their body, which is kind of resistant to formic acid, unless they are bitten and there are punctures and wounds in the carapace or the body of the creature that they are spraying formic acid on. So in this case now, we have been biting it, we have been piercing the shell, the exoskeleton of this scorpion, this hermit scorpion, and now the formic acid being sprayed onto it will go into those wounds and will slowly but surely start breaking down the inside of the scorpions. And now this is really a painful experience, most likely for it. I mean, you can imagine having cuts and bruises, and then you have got vinegar rubbed onto those wounds. I guess that if they feel pain the same way, that's what it would feel like. So not a very nice experience, but I think we are going to do quite well here. So this tail here is in fact a mixture of the two tails of the two creatures. If you're looking here, this would still be the tail of the hermit crab, whereas this is definitely the tail of the scorpion that we've got coming over here. And of course it has a stinger right at the end there. Now the end of the digestive system of a scorpion would actually be right over there at the last tail segment. So this pincer here is actually quite a vulnerable spot of the scorpion. If you were to break that off, they would die. They can't recover from that. Whereas a lot of invertebrates, they can recover lost body parts. Unfortunately, if a scorpion loses its stinger, it is doomed. So if we could somehow break that off, that would be kind of sad for the scorpion and all, and it would be a very slow death, but it would definitely then die. We can run away and it would die. Of course, the stinger there is also where the venom will be stored. There's a nice venom gland at the end there, and there is also a nice stinger there to actually inject the venom into prey or predator alike. Now this scorpion does have a thick tail, and it could have maybe some thinner pincers over here. Thin pincers and a thick tail would indicate this is a very venomous scorpion, but having a thickish tail and moderately thick pincers probably indicates this is somewhere in between. Yes, this will sting. It will really burn, and it's going to be quite bad if you get stung by this, but I don't think this species of scorpion may be life-threatening. It does have a very thick tail. So just by comparison, if you look at the scorpion I've got at the top there, that is of a very venomous scorpion. That is a Parabuthus that we've got in South Africa, and then the one there is a not venomous really at all. That is what we call a rock scorpion. And then in the middle there, that is a burrowing scorpion. That's one of the ones that are, it will hurt when they do sting you, but it's not going to be life-threatening. And then the one I've got over there at the bottom, that one there, oh, a friend of mine was stung by that, and that hurt. That hurt like a truck. It's not life-threatening though, unless you really have a compromised immune system, but it will hurt nonetheless. Alright, this one here, looking at all of those photos, I think this one would hurt like a truck, that's for sure. So would not want to be stung by it. But anyway, enough of that, let's get on with it.
The eruptors attack the shell! Do they not know?
We've already found out what lies underneath. There we go. So we are stinging, and spraying at it.
The stinger opens and it's functional. Go, my furious hybrid, spike the ants. Spike them.
Right, I think we're doing quite well. Most of our ants are actually still hanging back. Group 3 and Group 5 are just kind of hanging back.
Scorpion. It sounded better in my head. No matter. Every stimulation spurs the permutations.
So now, of course, that it has died, we've got a good look at it, and it is splayed out like this. No longer is it able to pump hemolymph or the body fluid into its legs, so it cannot hold itself upright. It collapses, the legs are kind of splayed out all over the place. So now that we can quickly, before it sinks into the ground completely, look at it. Look at those weird little stubby legs. We've got some proper legs over here, and then we've got the weird stubby legs in the back there. These are called the pleopods because they are on the pleon, which is the abdomen, the body, the back section of a crustacean's body, of a crab and stuff like that, body of a decapod's body. Decapods being 10 legs because they've got 10 proper legs in the front here. And well, these pleopods here are very often used for swimming, in some species used to catch food, in some species used to brood eggs. Variety of uses, not so much used for really moving or walking around, so they don't have to be fully developed like the proper legs in the front here. Yeah, just wanted to quickly point that out. And now I believe we are going to face our next challenge.
Perhaps a more elaborate test to follow. Something to provoke a creative response. Now, do we want raptorial forelegs or pedipalps?
The raptorial forelegs, grasping legs.
Ah, silly me. If we want both, of course. No, don't do that. That's your sister.
Ah, okay, so two creatures coming. They
Right,
fight
we're
with one
keeping it
another.
to apart.
Let's try to not be here when they come out, because they are fighting with one another, possibly. Okay, now they're going to come for us, I think.
Oh, what's the matter, my raptors?
Come on. Very interesting. We've got a whip spider's body, minus the long feelers, the antenniform legs that they would have in front here. And we've got a mantis backside here, and mantis raptorial forelimbs. So that is very, very interesting. So grasping forelimbs in front here, but then the very, very long legs that we associate with whip spiders. And then, of course, look, this is a typical type of leaf mimic mantis. It's got the typical green wings over here, the wing covers here, and it is even mimicking the dead parts of the leaves, like leaf parts eaten by plant-eating insects. So you can see it really, really mimics it. And you can see it also mimics fungus growing on the leaf. So it's got very, very awesome coloration here, very accurate coloration that it is giving. So this really does look like a leaf. Most leaves will have a midrib extending here, so this is the big vein going from the base to the tip of the leaf, and then some lateral veins going out there. And this wing really does mimic that very, very well. So let's see if we can actually get them to fight. Let's get all our ants into the center here. Let's see if we can get the twins to fight, because there's one right over here. This, of course, now being the mantis for body and the abdomen of the whip spider, and the long antenniform legs here of the whip spider, along with the pedipalps over here, the grasping pedipalps of the whip spider. So let's see if we use group 4. Let's tell them not to attack and not to gather food. Let's see if we can tempt them over to one another. Come on, little ones. There we go. So there's the one. Here comes the other. Let's see if we can get them to see one another and actually fight, because they are very aggressive, these two, towards one another. Okay, now, there we go.
Yes, clever little ants. Work smarter, not harder.
That's brilliant. Alright, so we did lose a few ants there, but that was worth it. I mean, look at that. Now, of course, both of them have got raptorial forelimbs, using it in this case to fight one another and to damage one another, to pierce one another. Of course, both these species, typical predators. I really, really like both these species. That's so awesome. It's weird that they are being put together because, well, the whip spider would have more legs than the mantis, of course. The whip spider, being an arachnid, would have 8 legs, 4 pairs of legs, whereas the mantis, of course, being an insect, would have 3 pairs of legs. And that's why, if you look here at the whip spider, we've got 1, 2 of its own legs coming out. Then we've got 1 mantis leg and 1 grasping forelimb of the mantis as well. So that gives us 4 pairs of legs. Hello there guys, this is Future Will popping in, and as I was editing this, I realized that there are too many mantis legs in these hybrids. The mantis usually has 2 pairs of normal walking legs, and then the 1 pair of grasping raptorial forelimbs, whereas our mantis here has 2 pairs of walking legs, but there's also a pair of mantis walking legs on the whip mantis there. So where did that extra set of legs come from? Of course, we have talked quite a bit about the whip spiders in the leafcutter missions. We are still going to talk a bit more about the mantids when we see them in the next missions, which will be the Matabele Ants. So we're not going to delve too much into them now, but they do generally. Let's just quickly have a look at their eyes, because very, very different eyes as well with them. So if you're looking at the mantis, it will have proper compound eyes here, very, very good eyesight with that. And then they should also have some ocelli, or tiny little simple eyes in the front there. I think most species will have that. Not sure whether this one has it or not. But if we look at this whip spider, now they do have the eyes in front there. 1 pair of large eyes. And previously I mentioned that it looks like we've got eyes there, and it is. There are 3 little eyes over there and over there as well. Basically just to pick up movement. This is not for proper eyesight. This is just to sense movement, possible predators coming over and stuff like that. So, and light and dark, things like that. So they will have some simple eyes over there and some more functional simple eyes over there. So 8 eyes in total. Alright, let them fight. I'm sure scientist number 2 is extremely happy with that we actually got them to fight. I'm not sure whether they will now fight one another again or not.
Get on with it.
Let's see if we take group 4 again. Tempt it over. Come on, fight your sister. And will they fight? Yes, they will indeed fight one another again. Although this is smart, this is not the most time-effective method of doing it. We're just going to very quickly bring group 4 and 5 out.
Only one remains. Kill it.
I see impatient scientist, so the scientist becomes impatient if we don't kill the things in quickly enough. I'm not sure what it would do if we don't actually kill it in time.
Unacceptable.
But it is dead now. Okay, I was wondering, I really want to see what they do, but anyway.
Champions bested. The caustic scent of Himmelin filling the arena. Can you smell it?
What's going on in there?
Oh.
Open the door.
What's she doing back? We need more time. I'm sorry, there's been a containment contamination.
What are you talking about?
Said the spider to the fly. You're witty and you're wise. How handsome are your gauzy wings? How brilliant are your eyes?
Where's your hazmat suit? There's no contamination.
Yes,
Let me
yes,
in.
contamination, yes. And it lives. I have to say, I do my best work under pressure.
Alright, so here we go, the Dragantula. This, of course, being another insect and arachnid mixed together. We've got our dragonfly over here, of course, with the wings. It should be able to fly, although with a heavy body like this, not very well. I mean, dragonflies, they are master flyers, but they are relatively light, so you don't generally nowadays have massive ones. Even the Meganeura, the big griffin flies that we had in the Carboniferous period many millions of years ago, they were big, but they would have been relatively lightweight. They wouldn't be like a solid blob like the Dragantula over here. This would most likely not be able to fly. If at all, it won't be able to fly very well. So, weird thing now though, with the previous two, with the twins, we had the same kind of problem as well. Not only with leg numbers that we had with insects having 6 legs and arachnids having 8, but also body parts. The arachnids will only have 2 body parts. They will have the cephalothorax, which is the head and the chest area basically in one, and then they've got the abdomen, which is the tail end of the spider, for example, in this case. Whereas the insects will have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. 3 body segments, 3 clearly defined body segments. So it's not really easy to go and mix things together like this, although the scientist definitely, he's got a few screws loose, so I think he used those screws to actually just attach these things all together. Alrighty, this is a very interesting creature, that's for sure. Doesn't look like it will be able to last very long. I mean, look at those, the damage that was done to the exoskeleton over here. I think it is probably going to die. But again, as the scientists say, they won't last more than a day in any case. But let's put it out of its misery, shall we?
Open the door this instant, or I'll have you escorted from the building.
Open the door, no problem.
Yes.
I'm on my way.
Right?
Oh, it is going to crash.
Could I have a security team on the 6th floor, please?
It's not very good. So you can see here it is hovering. But oof, there we go, crashes back.
It's using its wings. Incredible. Though it does seem a little slow to react. Perhaps we suffered a few too many synapses. Have you noticed
Alright,
that?
all our ants trying to get on here. The wood ants, of course, spraying formic acid into the wounds. The Dragantula. Now, technically, the tarantula here could be using these hairs to flick at our ants as well. Although it really is more of an effective measure against vertebrate predators. These hairs here, the urticating hairs, detach very easily from this, so they will use their hind legs to rub that off and basically shoot it at attackers. And if it gets into your eyes or your nostrils or anything like that, it is extremely irritating. Basically little tiny darts that it will fire at you. So very sharp. And it will kind of embed itself in your eyes and your nostrils and things like that. So it really would be a very effective measure, but as mentioned, only really against vertebrate predators. So against the ants here, not going to be the best defense mechanism. The best defense this creature has against us as ants would be to fly away. Because it has got wings, if it wanted to, it could just fly away. However, it is cornered, it is in the fight and flight situation, and flight is not possible, so it is fighting. Alright, but let's carry on, shall we?
And that man removed immediately.
Wow. That was fast.
Yes! Defeated! Oh, if only we could finish now, but we must be patient. You'll have to stay in here for now where they won't find you. Don't give up. I'll be back soon, Interrupted. What is the meaning of this?
Get him out of here!
Okay, just need to escort you off site. Come on.
Absolutely unacceptable. You'll be hearing from my union representative.
Okay,
Don't
okay.
touch me.
Sorry.
That is assault, my friend. Oh, I hope.
Alright, and I just got the achievement for completing this mission without being hit by the charge attack, so that worked out well. Alright, let's go. Royal jelly, yes, it's 1,300 extra food, but that's alright. I'm going to go for the extra royal jelly because this will allow us to get the Matabele Ant medics getting that sorted. So, let's go for that and continue on. So, scientists removed from the site, resources dwindling, it may be time to accept the colony's fate.
What was he up to? There's nothing untoward here. Why did he lock the door?
Now, I don't think it really helps us to gather all the food here. In any case, even if it did, I mean, look at our food stores here. We are technically well stocked. We should be able to last a few years, perhaps, here. Or at least a few months. But we are going to, nonetheless, do the passage of time. Because when we do this, we are going to move on to the Matabele Ants. So let's see what becomes of the colony.
Delivery!
I haven't put in any request.
Looks like a supercapacitor.
You're probably after microelectronics. Next floor up.
Okay, based on what we have in the nest, we get 2,346 royal jelly. That is marvelous. That is going to be so useful. Alright, here we go. Passage of time.
Aha! I told you I'd be back. My poor ants! What has happened to you?
Shame.
Don't worry, I'm here now. One final experiment and this will all be over. We'll need to get your strength up. Eat this for now. I'll be back soon with more supplies. Sit tight.
Alright, so the only ones I've got
Need
left
something to stand on.
is that group over there. And now, of course, that we have got some food in the colony, finally, once more, all the eggs that are present will hatch, and now everyone can come and gather some food here. Okay, but now that we have got a bit of food again, things are looking up. Unfortunately, so many dead ants all over the place. They, of course, are going to decompose now as well, drop into the floor, but we are able to get the Matabele Ant. Oh, I love these guys. It's going to be so awesome to have them here. Now, do let me know in the comments below, which one do you want me to do? The anesthetist, that one, or the fast responder? Which one you think would be best to have in our nest here in the colony? So then, of course, I will choose that one. Alright, now that is where we are going to be calling it today, everybody. So thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. Unfortunately, just the one this week due to some internet problems we had. And next week there will also just be one episode. It will be coming out on Friday because I'm away for the majority of the week with some students on an excursion. So tune in next Friday for the next episode of An Ecologist Plays Empires of the Undergrowth. Of course, Nick and I will be live streaming Enshrouded this Sunday as well. So tune in for a bit of fun. Hopefully the internet works this time around. And until next time, everybody, stay safe. I'll see you all soon. Bye.